print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is P. Fitz, and for the next hour I'll be reading from current issues of the Dunkirk Observer on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Planners hear about proposed BESS, B-E-S-S, which is a battery energy storage system. Representatives of a project renovating Fredonia's Middlesex apartments appeared before the Fredonia Planning Board to discuss the BESS. The Planning Board is supposed to write a letter of recommendation on what to do about the BESS to the Fredonia Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board has a final say in the case because the battery storage system would require a special use permit as it is in a residential zone. Good Carbon Company of Buffalo, a real estate energy developer, is handling the Middlesex Apartments renovations. The battery system would be constructed by Viridi, another Buffalo outfit. Richard Reese of Good Carbon said the apartments will be heated and cooled by geothermal, fully electric systems. A small BESS system is desired as a backup in case of a power outage. The BESS would be located outside the apartment complex near the corner of Middlesex Drive and Central Avenue, as far behind the building as we can put it. A representative of Viridi said the BESS would be monitored remotely from Buffalo, would contain a built-in anti-propagation system. It's in its concrete base that is supposed to help stifle fires. I'm sure you understand these BESS systems have been a hot topic, said Planning Board Chairman Brian Luce. A series of BESS fires across the country have stoked fears about the safety of the systems. The Viridi rep replied that the company developed its anti-propagation system because we don't have a let it burn mentality. However, we didn't want to give too many details about stating that it was proprietary information. You're surrounded by residential. I just want to make sure it's safe. Is it that critical that you have to have it? Wondered Luce. Reese stated that it would be essential to the tenants in a power outage. Asked if there was an alternative to a BESS, Reese said a diesel generator could be used. Discussion turned to the wooden fence that is supposed to surround the BESS system. It's like putting a wooden fence around a bonfire, if something happened, God forbid, Lou said. He suggested a brick fence instead of a wood, so it looks like the brick-faced Middlesex apartments. Reese said the fence is purely for aesthetics. Fredonia Fire Department Chief Joshua Myers attended the Planning Board meeting and asked the project representatives about providing training on fighting BESS blazes, as well as the UL 9540 safety standard data for their proposed unit. While neither company provides the training, Myers was told he'd get the data. I can't answer right now if Fredonia Fire Department could properly fight a fire in that BESS area without the data, he said. Charles LaBarbera, Fredonia's top code enforcer, spoke up with what appeared to be words of encouragement about the BESS. and the apartment project it is attached to. This is a $6 million project they're doing, he said, adding that charges for electric power cars will come with every unit. The chances of this needing more power are pretty good. Noting the promise to Myers about the UL 9540 data, Luce said a letter would be going out to the zoning board. He did not say what the letter would recommend. Teacher, counselor to resign from Silver Creek. Several resignations were accepted at a recent Silver Creek Board of Education meeting. Among them is a special ed teacher and school counselor. Amanda Duckett is set to resign from her teaching position in special education at the end of the school year. Duckett cited a significantly longer commute from her new home outside the district as the reason for her resignation. Duckett was hired by Silver Creek in August of 2024. She brought 10 years of experience in the field from another district with her to Silver Creek. In her letter of resignation, Duckett wrote, "I have truly enjoyed working here and feel very grateful for the opportunities, knowledge, and experiences I have gained during my short time at Silver Creek. Supporting our students and collaborating with such knowledgeable and caring group of educators and staff has been an amazing experience." Kelsey Wise submitted her resignation from a role of school counselor effective April 30th. Wise provided 30 days notice and said in her resignation letter, "I wish the district all the best in the future endeavors." The board also accepted the resignation of teaching assistant Rachel Schneider effective May 1st. Schneider previously retired from a 20-year military career before joining Silver Creek Schools. She expressed an interest in remaining as a substitute teacher and coach with the school district. Additionally, Melissa Roska resigned from a 10-month role of cleaner effective on April 2nd. The board also approved the appointment of Terry Fish as a cafeteria monitor. Sean Helmer was appointed as a modified baseball head coach. Nathan Zakari, Courtney Schneider, Paz, and Emily Schneider, Pulver, were approved as volunteer assistant coaches. The donation of 250 gas savings and bonus reward cards of $10 each from the Signals gas station in Irving was also accepted by the district to be distributed to school employees. The first reading of a district policy regarding competitive bidding and offering was held, while the board also approved a budget transfer pertaining to technology and instruction. The next Silver Creek Board of Education meeting is Thursday, May 7th at 7 p.m. at the Seneca Nation of Indians Early Childhood Learning Center. The Lions Club plans environmental project. It took place this past Saturday. Mayville Chautauqua Lions Club will held a service project to pick up trash and other debris on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. at the Chautauqua Lakeside Park. The club met in front of the Carlson Building. Its goal was to help the community keep the park pristine and begin an ongoing effort to do our part as stewards of the environment. Lions members worked in groups and combed the ground for anything that looked unsightly, including the shoreline. They were excited about the 2026 season and wanted to make sure the park continues to look great. This event was sponsored by the North Shore Specialties Incorporated, who provided grabber trash pickers, plastic bags, and water. It lasted about 2 hours, and anyone who was interested in helping was welcome. This was the first in a series of service projects that will take place during the 2026 season. The Lions Club is an international organization that supports numerous creative and small-scale community service efforts, including environmental cleanups. You can learn more about who they are and about joining at one word, lionsclubs.org. Wendell shares highlights with business leaders. Standing before business and community leaders, County Executive P.J. Wendell said he believes Chautauqua County is in a good place and will continue to improve. For the first time during his tenure in office, Wendell gave the State of the County address at the CHQ Chamber Breakfast held at the Doubletree by Hilton in Jamestown. The address itself lasted about 30 minutes, and then Wendell took written questions from the audience for another 45 minutes. He began highlighting the near completion of the shovel-ready site in Ripley and the expansion of the Mason Industrial Park in Ellicott, saying these properties will soon be ready for new businesses to relocate and or expand in the county. In 2023 and 2024, the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency purchased about 150 acres of land in Ripley near I-90 and have been working on getting it ready for developers, including taking care of environmental studies, bringing water, sewer, and electric, and getting some roads cut. During Tuesday's State of the County address, Wendell said the IDA is looking to have another shovel-ready site in Sheridan, commonly referred to as the Eagle Bay, which has 657 acres of land. This potential industrial park could become the largest shovel-ready site in the state of New York, he said. For Chautauqua Lake, Wendell noted that funding has been secured for Phase 3 of a sewer district. This is the final phase of a decades-long effort to complete public sewers around Chautauqua Lake. Wendell called the effort to have a public sewers around both the north and south basins historic. This is a historic milestone, one that will improve water quality, strengthen property values, support economic development, and protect the long-term health of our community, he said. In terms of the economy, Wendell noted that according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, Chautauqua County is the 9th fastest growing county in New York State, with its gross domestic product up 29% over the last 5 years. Wendell said the household income has increased as well. In 2019, the median household income was $46,820. Today, it's $58,351, a 25% gain. We ranked 8th best county in the state for year-over-year per capita income growth, he said. Wendell also said that that the poverty rate in the county has dropped. In 2014, it was 19.4%. And by 2024, it dropped to 17.4. Wendell noted there are more housing opportunities coming with new senior apartment complex in Silver Creek, the Gateway Lofts project in Jamestown, the former Welsh building in Westfield, and the new apartment complexes in Dunkirk. Once completed, these projects will bring more than 400 housing units across Chautauqua County, he said. And he said the county isn't finished. Let's make no mistake, there's still work to be done, but the trajectory is clear. By continuing to collaborate with our partners across the county and investing our strengths, we will continue to attract new business, new jobs, new housing, and new workers for Chautauqua County. Other highlights of Wendell's address included the county's growth in tourism, Chautauqua Lake Symposium and its fight against the weeds in the lake, the expansion of the fly car system for emergency services in the southwestern region of the county. Sheriff's offices focus on both prevention and rehabilitation, assisting homeless families, helping those on financial assistance who are able to participate in work activities. The new lead rental program, a new ride service for senior citizens, a new government reduction initiative for local government, schools, and special taxing districts. In terms of spending, Wendell noted this year the county's budget is made up of 23% of property taxes, 19% state aid, 18% sales tax, 14% of designated reserves, 13% from federal aid, and 1% from the county's fund balance. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Dunkirk Observer on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Twitchell said he told the board, Twitchell said he told the board that they are incapable of managing the taxpayers' money as demonstrated by this year's 4% tax increase on top of last year's 56% increase. He offered examples of the fiscal incompetence. They gave raises again this year to department heads. They failed to employ an arbitrator in approving a very expensive fireman's union contract, which is now responsible for half of the 4% increase. In the Pomfret, Portland, Dunkirk sewer contract, they gave 60% discounts to non-village residents who use the village sewer treatment plant while at the same time discussing necessary and expensive upgrades at the sewer plant for which outsiders are not contributing. Twitchell is a supporter of Save Our Reservoir movement and made sure to criticize Fredonia's plans to require water from the North County Water District. They are pressing forward with a water improvement plan which will cost the village $52 million over the next 30 years while raising rates per 1,000 gallons to a level which is 4 times greater than the current rates of $28 per thousand. He quoted figures from analysis by former village treasurer James Sedota, which is touted by Save Our Reservoir. Twitchell added, they misled the flat rate for the water by $10 per quarter while failing to properly administer the water treatment plant operators whose errors have resulted in frequent boil orders. Fredonia's trustees appear set to vote on passing the 26-27 budget at their next meeting on Monday. Molitor co-sponsors sex offender registry change. Assemblyman Andrew Molitor is among the co-sponsors of legislation that would require all sex offenders to be placed on the public searchable area of the state's online sex offender registry. Sponsored by Assemblyman Joseph Angelino Binghamton of Binghamton, the legislation would amend the state's corrections law to authorize the name, photo, and other identifying information of level 1 sex offenders to be publicly disclosed on the DCJS Sex Offender Directory website. Angelino's bill has attracted 14 Republican co-sponsors, including Molitor, of a Republican of Westfield, and Joe Sempolinski, Republican of Canisteo. The legislation has been referred to the Assembly's Corrections Committee. Currently, under the state's Sex Offender Registration Act, photos and identifying information for level 2 moderate risk and level 3 high risk sex offenders can be posted on the publicly searchable Division of Criminal Justice Services online registry. State law prohibits Division of Criminal Justice from posting information about level 1 or low risk offenders, something Angelino said effectively shields level 1s from public exposure. Angelino drafted the bill after a person who sexually abused the child was able to continue their behavior for years, targeting multiple child victims because he was classified as level 1 sex offender. Because level 1 offenders aren't publicly identified, the man's status was invisible to the community, unlike level 2 or 3 defenders. The gap in the law can create a dangerous and misleading sense of security, Angelino wrote in his co-sponsorship memorandum. Parents and residents rely on the DCJS public registry to help protect their children, but they are often doing so based on missing information. As a result, family may unknowingly make decisions about without being aware of nearby offenders who pose a real risk to safety. Onondaga County Sheriff Toby Shelley recently sent a second letter to the state legislators asking for the change, according to television station WSTM. Shelley cited the cases involving Ryan Pontello, which is the case to which Angelino was referring, as well as a case involving David Renz, who was convicted after killing a woman and raping a 10-year-old girl in 2013. Florida makes all sex offender and sexual predator registration information public, regardless of the severity of the crime, while Alabama operates a database that includes all sex offenders regardless of risk level and makes the information publicly available on their sex offender registry website. Expanding the registry to include all offenders regardless of risk level would provide consistent, transparent, and reliable access to information. This change is essential to ensure the community have tools they need to making fully informed decisions about the safety, Angelino wrote. CVCS teacher named Outstanding Social Studies Supervisor. The State Council of Social Studies has named Tina Rishier of Cassadaga Valley Central Schools as the 2026 Outstanding Social Studies Supervisor. The award recognizes her leadership, commitment to education, and contributions to social studies programs. The presentation was held at the President's reception and award ceremony at the Phelps Mansion in Binghamton. This award is a testament to Tina's influence on education in Chautauqua County, council officials said in a news release. Her peers recognize her as a leader who goes above and beyond to support teachers and enhance student learning. The recognition she receives today reflects the positive impact she has made on countless students and colleagues. Council members said Bashir's teaching methods and collaborative approach have helped students throughout the county, guided curriculum development, monitored other educators, and created programs that inspire students to think critically about the world around them. The support of the amazing teachers and staff administration and our students in Cassadaga Valley makes her so proud to be nominated and to receive this award in their honor, Bashir said. Social studies is a foundation in education to help foster well-informed citizens and the importance of critical thinking skills about the history and the world. Langworthy wants break on CDLs for illegals. U.S. Representative Nick Langworthy wants New York State crackdown on commercial driving licenses given to illegal immigrants. Langworthy convened a Zoom press conference to declare he has sent a letter to Governor Kathy Hochul asking for a change. Hochul has put $73 million in federal funding at risk, all in the name of a radical political agenda, he said. The Trump administration is threatening to withhold funding until the state works out the problem to its satisfaction. Hochul administration claims that the state is compliant with federal laws and CDL guidelines, and that the issue represents a politically motivated attack by Republicans on a Democratic-led state. Langworthy claimed an audit found the state is routinely and systematically issuing licenses illegally, he opined. What an absolute insult to the citizens who pay some of the highest taxes in the country. Langworthy lectured that tractor-trailer driving requires a heightened level of safety and vigilance. One tiny mistake can have tragic consequences. The congressman continued that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has flagged New York for improper licensing procedures. If New York doesn't hold to the highest standards, how do we know they ever covered standards in the first place, he asked. Langworthy went on to comment that a driver who is an illegal immigrant put driving with the CDL is opening up his or her trucking company to a massive lawsuit. I'm calling on Hochul to stop the nonsense and follow the law, he concluded. In response to a follow-up question, Langworthy said he thinks all CDLs given to illegals, as well as any licenses improperly issued, should be immediately revoked. There is no reason to be hiring illegal immigrants as truckers, he said. A footnote, there was an accident involving a tractor-trailer that tipped over exiting the Skyway in Buffalo. The driver was from Georgia and did not hold a CDL license. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from Dunkirk Observer on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. No magic can fix cities' disappearing funds. This is from the editor's corner. Dunkirk's fiscal frying pan became a little more like a broiler on Tuesday evening. Numerous city workers showed up in force at a common council meeting to voice their displeasure with the current administration announcing a no confidence votes in Mayor Kate Dowiez. Labor advocates turned out in impressive numbers, as well in a show of support for the employees. One of those leaders included Denise Abbott, president of Western New York's CIO. What I've been told by workers' union leaders and the city residents is that the environment of bullying, abuse, and outright illegality are out of control here in Dunkirk, she said. The mayor and an inactive council have allowed the purposeful undermining and mishandling of city resources, collective bargaining agreements, public safety, and the livelihoods of residents and workers alike. Fire and police unions officials also spoke out with concerns. There is no denying there is truth to their statements. Then, however, there are the dark and unmistakable facts not discussed. Dunkirk is on a financial life support through a $13.7 million loan from New York State last June and an underfunded $30 million budget. It is quite possible the city will be out of cash in the fall. Then what? Another loan from Albany? Workers have every right to portray the city and DOE as the villains. But this leadership team inherited the mess created by so many other past administrations and councils. Since the closing of the Energy Incorporated plant in 2016, there never was a sense of insecurity inside City Hall, even if $4 million in annual revenues were not coming to the municipality's coffers over 9 years, and the city tax rates were rarely increased. Then came the crisis in March of 2024 that included a $16 million deficit. Portions of that now appear tied to the former treasurer's alleged theft of $120,000 in recent years. If that is the amount truly taken, then that is a drop in the bucket. Mark Woods had access to hundreds of millions of dollars for the 25 years he had been elected to the office by constituents. Rarely, especially in recent years, did he provide financial information to those elected. An audit from Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli's office dating back to 2021 is one more indication of the potential harm done by that office. That audit stated the city treasurer did not properly enforce and the Common Council did not properly monitor delinquent water, sewer, and tipping fee balances. According to the report, Woods failed to follow the enforcement procedures prescribed by the city code and charge penalties in accordance with the code. Of the 30 counts reviewed, approximately $39,700 in additional penalties should have been charged. If city officials had implemented shut-off procedures in accordance with the code, the city could have collected more than $577,000 on delinquent accounts and realized an additional $31,200 in service resumption fees, documents said. In 2021, those figures seemed trivial. That all changed in January when the public corruption, grand larceny, and false filing charges were filed by DiNapoli and the Chautauqua County District Attorney Jason Schmidt against Woods, whose reputation of being fair and honest has been more than tarnished. If city workers think they have it bad now, the other option to get a better grip on city finances would make conditions even worse for them: a control board. In this case, the current contracts with the union become null and void. Everything pay, health benefits, pensions, and minimum staffing levels gets scrutinized. Money will get even tighter, and unions lose a lot of leverage. Council and Doias are not endorsing that idea, but the state senator George Borrello and Assemblyman Andrew Molitor believe that it is the most responsible and accountable path for the municipality. What residents here cannot forget is while Dunkirk is bad, other parts of the nation are struggling as well. Government and schools unfortunately became gluttonous with the coronavirus aid relief and Economic Securities Act from 2020 and the American Rescue Plan Act funding from 2021. Federal cash came fast. It was needed to be spent or it would be lost. Consequences of decisions that came with the infusion of free money 6 years ago and not restricted to New York State. South Hadley, Massachusetts certainly understands the pain. The voters this month rejected a steep property tax hike proposal of 50% that officials said was needed to avert deep cuts and ease financial crunch similar to the ones expected to hit more towns around the U.S. The Wall Street Journal reported the measure was defeated by 65 to 34% to raise $11 million in new property taxes. Lisa Wong, South Hadley's administrator, said she wasn't surprised by the results. It was definitely a big ask of voters who are dealing with a lot. She told the Journal, "We will regroup and continue to communicate with the public on the changes ahead." Dunkirk's tax hike of 84% brought hardship to many residents, more than 26% of whom are living in poverty. In addition, there is a growing number who are delinquent in paying their tax bills. An oversized $30 million city budget that shows no sign of shrinking will do that. Union members at this week's meeting have every right to believe they're not being treated fairly. On the other side of this stark and unfortunate reality, Dunkirk's tax base is stagnating and there is a lack of investment. Continued overspending in the city will not change the future fortunes. This article was by John D'Agostino, the editor of the Post-Journal Observer and the Times Observer of Warren, PA. Send comments to J. D'Agostino at observertoday.com. Jamestown police investigating Wednesday evening shootings. Jamestown police are investigating a shooting that took place Wednesday night on East 8th Street near Fulton Street and another shooting near the 7-Eleven store on North Main Street. Officers responded to the area at 9:40 p.m. Wednesday for reports of shooting that had just taken place. Once on the scene, officers found an 18-year-old boy with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. The youth was taken to UPMC Chautauqua. Around 10 p.m., officers responded to the 7-Eleven store on North Main Street for another shooting, though officers found no one was injured in the second incident. Through investigation, it was determined that both shootings were targeted attacks and that both shootings are connected. City police said in a news release, both incidents are currently under investigation. Anyone with information is asked to call the Jamestown Police Department at 716-483-7537 or the department's tip line at 716-483-8477. Over the past year, problems on Fulton Street have been constantly reported to the city's council. That includes the March voting session of the council when Raven Corvus, who lives on the corner of Fulton and East 8th Street, told the council that while Fulton Street has gotten a lot better, it still has work to be done. We could still use a little bit more, Corvus said. There's quite a lot of drug houses, still on East 8th. I see on a daily basis with my 9 cameras, so much that goes on there. According to the State Department of Criminal Justice Services statistics provided through the Gun-Involved Violence Elimination Initiative, through the end of March, Wednesday's shooting is the first in Jamestown so far this year. There were also no shootings in the city for the first 3 months of 2025. In 2025, there were 7 shooting incidents involving injuries, with 8 people hit and 1 killed, according to GIV statistics. Tier 2 agencies focus on reducing firearm-related violent crimes, murder, rape, robbery, aggravated assault. Amherst, Auburn, Binghamton, Chautauqua, Elmira, Greece, Ithaca, Jamestown, Kingston, Lackawanna, Middletown, Spring Valley, and Watertown. Kellogg to put toys back into cereal boxes for Toy Story 5. If you've missed rooting around in a cereal box for a toy, you're in luck. W.K. Kellogg Company said Thursday it's including toys with some of its breakfast cereals for the first time in more than a decade. Starting on Sunday, special edition boxes of Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, Apple Jacks, and Corn Pops will have plastic toys shaped like characters from Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5. The movie is scheduled to hit theaters in June. Plastic toys used to be a mainstay in the breakfast cereal, but they have gradually disappeared as manufacturers tried to cut costs and consumers worried about choking and other hazards. Kellogg was criticized in 2004 for including Spider-Man watches with mercury batteries in the cereal boxes, for example. Kellogg said it thought Toy Story 5 was a good fit for the reintroduction since it explores the role of toys in the tech-driven world. Bringing toys back inside the box reintroduces that sense of discovery through a simple screen-free moment of play that parents can now share with their own kids. Laura Newman, Vice President of Brand Marketing at Kellogg, said that. Mayor responds to contract clamor. Dunkirk Mayor Kate Dowiaz defended herself against city unions, stating that they are unwilling to negotiate and that city taxpayers can no longer afford their contracts. Dowiaz said she wanted to set the record straight during the phone interview Thursday with the Observer. Union leaders and workers turned out in force on Tuesday during a Common Council meeting. Jake Stern, representing Local 616 and its 24 uniformed firefighters, said during the meeting the union had unanimously voted no confidence in Dowiaz and City Attorney Elliot Raimondo. The action follows a long and troubling pattern of leadership failures that have undermined public safety, increased financial risk to taxpayers, and diminished confidence in the administration of the city of Dunkirk, Stern said. These actions undermine fair labor practices, harm employee relations, and expose the city to unnecessary legal and operational risk. These actions have also led to challenges with recruitment, retention, and resignation among our membership. Excuse me. Dowiaz said the city currently has 2 expired contracts where the unions have sought new terms. One for Local 16 firefighters and other for Local 912 Department of Public Works employees. We met with them several times last year and we have come to an impasse because they were not willing to make concessions, Dowiaz said. The city has filed for impasse arbitration. To be clear, I do support unions and respect the work of our employees, Dowie has said. But that respect for the contract must come on both sides. It cannot just be just benefit one party. She continued, this administration understands that these contracts need to have some give and take. They are not willing to come to the negotiation table. Taxpayers, while they support the unions, cannot afford the union contracts they have. Though he has acknowledged recent tax increases, but stated that was just to cover salaries that were never budgeted. We're not at the point where we can come to the table and offer anything without hurting the taxpayers. She declared the unions are making it sound like I'm not willing to negotiate with them. The fact of the matter is they are not willing to negotiate. The city mayor moved briefly to complaints about the department, which led to a new contract last year. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Dunkirk Observer and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Continuing with the mayor's article, she alleged the police are outright harassing me by following improper practice charges because they don't want to follow the letter of the contract. Dowie has added that most of our police force are not taxpayers. They do not live in the city. And there have been harsh comments about how they don't care if Dunkirk taxpayers in the city's bottom line are harmed by their salaries and benefits. Dowie has went on, people think that I am forcing people to retire or leave employment. I've been very honest to the members that retire that we can no longer afford their contracts, and that has led to decisions to quit, she said. You have to give up something. You can't come to us and cash out 240 sick days when you retire. 15% insurance buyouts are ridiculous, the mayor said. She alleged that several employees somehow took buyouts without ever being on the city's insurance. These are generational things that have gone on that taxpayers no longer can afford, Dowie has said. When the unions simply are asked to follow their contracts, they don't want to do that. Asked how the city unions' allegedly bloated contracts came about in the first place, the mayor blamed mismanagement through the decades and an religious reliance on revenue from the NRG plant. The plant's shutdown in the mid-2010s exploded a hole into the finances for the city, and it has not recovered from. My concerns are people are not being able to pay their taxes, Dowie has said. Unions need to come to negotiation table with realistic expectations. Without unions coming to the table with realistic expectations, our residents can't afford them. She concluded, I've given them all the facts. They don't like the facts. Aspire looks ahead to WCA home move. Aspire of Western New York still awaits final state approval for its move to the former WCA home on Temple Street in Fredonia. However, the building is in beautiful condition and would need few changes. Megan Reshin, Aspire of Western New York's Executive Vice President of Innovation and Strategy, shared some details this week about the organization's planned move. She stated that the State Attorney General's office must approve the donation of property by the WCA Home Board. The state did give preliminary approval before the Village of Fredonia enacted a usage variance March 10th, she said. We need it in writing to move forward, so we don't have a distinct timeline yet, although we hope to see movement within a month or two, Reshin said of the Attorney General's approval. The building is in beautiful condition and we will not need to make any significant construction changes to the building for our services, Russian said. As it is an assisted living facility, it is in great condition and standards for us to support people with disabilities. If we have to change anything on the interior, we plan to work with the Village of Fredonia Building Permit Team if a project needs to be executed for our needs. We will also continuously work to build relationships with our neighbors and community members in the area to understand any concerns with our occupancy of the buildings, to work with them, Russian added. Our ability to provide services relies on us being a good neighbor, and we'll continue to do that. Aspire of Western New York is a nonprofit provider of services for children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Russian continued that Aspire will be moving the services currently offered in the Fredonia at our Church Street leased location to the WCA home. The services include non-certified day habilitation and community-based services, including our iExpress art programs, supported by volunteering and life enrichment programs, pre-vocational services, and workforce development. We will also have administrative offices from our support departments located at the WCA home. Reckon and said Aspire will still working on estimates of the numbers of jobs the move could provide. She said that Aspire of Western New York has expanded from around 1,500 employees in 2022 to nearly 1,800 currently. The more services we provide the community also means more jobs we are able to create, she added. On March 10th, Aspire of Western New York and the WCA received approval from the village on their request for a use variance for the property. The new headquarters will consolidate and expand Aspire of Western New York's existing services in the area, offering greater accessibility and a continuum of care for individuals and families. Aspire Western New York currently operates in Fredonia, commercial space in the town square, and in several group homes in northern Chautauqua County. Aspire of Western New York is honored to be entrusted with the next chapter of this, the WCA home, and Renee A. Phillip, President and CEO of Aspire New York. This facility is perfect location to deliver and expand our person-centered services to the Fredonia community, creating a true human hub that brings together people of all abilities. By investing in this beautiful historic property, we are continuing the WCA's home powerful legacy of support, ensuring it remains a source of pride and opportunity for generations to come. Since 1947, Aspire of Western New York has been a leading nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities to living fulfilling independent lives throughout their lifespan, achieving their greatest potential and actualizing their dreams with long-standing footprint across Western New York. Aspire Western New York is committed to person-centered programs that foster independence, commitment, integration, and advocacy. Area Police, Jamestown Police Department. Colin Duffy, 29, a citizen of Belgium, was charged April 22nd with driving while intoxicated. According to police, at about 12:14 a.m., officers responded to a report of a motor vehicle accident at Baker Street and Chautauqua Avenue. Upon further investigation, it was determined that one of the parties involved in the accident, Duffy, allegedly was operating the vehicle under the influence of alcohol. He was placed into custody without incident and taken to Jamestown City Jail. Duffy will be in Jamestown City Court later. Chautauqua County Sheriff's Department. Catherine Gatto, 55, of the town of Chautauqua, was charged April 23rd with second-degree criminal contempt and trespass. According to officials, at about 11:50 a.m., deputies were called to an address on Route 430 in the town of Chautauqua for a report of unwanted purpose, something, the words cut off. Officials said it was reported that there was a person on the property was not allowed to be there. Investigation showed that Gatto allegedly did violate a valid order of protection by going to that property. Gatto was taken to the Chautauqua County Jail for centralized arraignment. She will be in Chautauqua County Court later. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from current issues of the Dunkirk Observer. We read from the Dunkirk Observer every Saturday at noon. Your reader has been P. Fitz. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of our Northtown Bee papers, which includes Amherst, Clarence, Cheektowaga, Depew, and Lancaster. At 2 o'clock, we have our Southtown papers, which is the Orchard Park Bee, East Aurora Bee, West Seneca Bee, and Hamburg Sun. Following that, 3 o'clock is the Ampole Eagle. Stay with us. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book,